To anybody who is entering any decade or wherever you are in any stage of life, what is whispering to you now? What is whispering to you now?
To celebrate turning 60 this year, I chatted with women of all ages about their biggest life transitions. I'm Melinda French Gates, and these are the moments that make us.
Okay, so Oprah and Gayle, you two have talked about your friendship over time. I'm about to turn 60. Oprah, you've turned 70, and Gayle, you're going to turn
You're a baby.
70 later this year.
You're a baby, Melinda.
I don't know about that. How are you different now than a decade ago? And how was your friendship instrumental to that?
I don't have hangups about age. When people say, you know, you shouldn't talk about your age, I actually don't feel that way. When I turned 50, the realization hit me that I wouldn't live another 50 years. And so I did have a moment of that. Now, you're talking to somebody that says I have no hangups about age, but when the AARP sent me the magazine, which, by the way, comes.
Me too.
Didn't it came like the day of or the day after? I called them, Melinda, and said, please take me off of your mailing list, because I don't want to get the early bird specials and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to get that. Did you get your AARP?
I got it, yeah.
Did you keep getting it?
No.
Yeah, so I called them. And now I regret doing that because I think it's good to send the message that this is what 50 looks like. So when I turned 60, I still thought, okay, life is still great, life is still fun. I'm actually looking forward to turning 70. So I don't feel all that different. I remember when my mom turned 50 and that seemed old.
Yeah, we have this idea in our head that AARP is like getting your Social Security card. You know, it's like
You're on the
like,
decline.
It's like the official announcement that you are getting older.
Yeah.
And I never refer to myself as old, and I hear lots of people saying that. I don't even think of myself that way. I was struck by the number 60. I noticed that when I would be introduced even online or in a newspaper and they would say 60-year-old Oprah Winfrey, that people would be like, whoa, you're 60. I noticed a difference in the way that people perceived me at 60.
That's interesting.
Absolutely noticed a difference in that.
Did they start calling you ma'am?
They started calling me ma'am. And a lot of people,
or what we really had, auntie.
Oh, God.
People started
Oh,
calling me
no.
auntie.
Okay, I'm not quite ready for that.
Okay,
No,
well,
I know.
Well, and also I realized that the auntie thing is very cultural. If you go to other countries where, you know, where age is actually respected, it's considered a...
It's an honor. It's an honor. And a sign of respect.
Sign of respect for older women, so
Yes.
they don't call you by your first name. I understood that other people's perception of it, and that took me aback for just a moment, but just long enough to say, oh, your perception is not what I'm actually living.
Or feeling.
Or feeling. Maya had said to me when I turned 50, she actually wrote a poem to me called Continue, which you all can Google. When I turned 50, she said, the 50s are everything you've been meaning to be. The 50s are everything you've been meaning to be and everything you meant to be. It's all the I was gonna, I meant to, I'm supposed to. That you get all that done in the 50s. And then the 60s are settling in and coming home to yourself. And I just ran across this poem by another person named Maya, M-A-I-A, that says, I hope when you come home to yourself, your front porch will be lined with flowers left by all the women you once were. Something happens.
I like that.
Something happens in your 60s that you leave all of those other women who were striving to be, trying to be, meant to be, supposed to be. All of that's left behind, and you come home to yourself and you settle in with yourself in a way that's more powerful, that's more enhanced, that's more elevated than you've ever been. It really is the sweet spot, I must
think
say.
so too. I also think aging is just another word for living. I think if we're all lucky, we can get to this stage. You know, and it used to be, honest to God, Melinda, I still sit here and wait for that adult feeling to kick in. I know I'm a grown-ass woman. I know that. When I got married, when I got engaged, when I got divorced, when you buy your first house, when you get your first checkbook. But I still, on some level, feel so full of life and still feel so young. I know I'm not 20-something, I get that. But there's something about, I just refuse to be defined by a number of any kind, to be honest with you.
Can't be.
The only thing that lets me know about my age are my knees. I do know, If I can get up and not going, that lets me know.
Well, that let me know, and then I got new knees, and then I feel unstoppable.
And now she's a goat.
I feel like I'm a
now
billy
she's
goat on the
on
mountain.
a billy
yes.
goat on the
But
mountain.
you know what's so funny is women used to not talk about their age. As if we
Yes.
should be ashamed to be our age. And I'm actually really proud that I'm about to turn 60. Yeah, it's a number and I'm like, ooh, okay, that's different than 50. But it's like, shouldn't we celebrate? Like, I hope by this age we have some wisdom, right?
Well, this is the thing. In all those years, 25 years of doing the Oprah show, I was a great observer of human behavior and great observer of life. And it used to annoy me so much when women would complain about their age or be afraid of saying what their age was. I mean, I've actually...
Or don't ask me, that's such a personal
Yeah,
question.
don't ask me. I mean, it was
Please.
crazy because I'm looking at you, okay?
Yes.
And the reason is because I've heard so many stories, seen so many things, participated in life in such a way, you see how fortunate, how blessed, how absolutely grand it is that you get to hit whatever number you get to hit because of all the people who didn't make it. Really, I live in the grateful space all the time that, wow, you get to make another year.
yeah.
I'm also aware, though, at this age, 69, 70, and sometimes 60, that it could happen at any time now.
Right, 'cause you've seen friends who
Yes,
go.
you always
Yes.
see
Yeah.
these stories of people 60, 62, 65, 68, 69, 70, all of it. So I am aware of that more than ever before.
There's a poet who I love also, Mary Oliver, who says,
we love her.
we get one wild and precious life.
What will you do with your
What
one
will you
wild-
do with your one wild and precious life? How would your life be different if Gayle wasn't in it? And how would your life be different if Oprah wasn't in it? Because I think sometimes we don't talk about the importance of deep, deep female friendship.
Where do I begin, Melinda? How long is this segment? I mean, we often talk about this, because I got divorced when my kids were 4 and 5, and Oprah and I have certainly been friends a long time, but I wouldn't be at CBS. I wouldn't have been at the Met Gala. Just so many things I wouldn't have done.
Well, you would not be living the life that you are living, period,
Yeah.
had you not gotten
Gotten a
divorced.
divorce,
That's
yeah.
another whole subject, but had she
Yeah.
not gotten divorced. Had we not been friends, Gayle is the mother, sister, friend that I never had. And
feel
also,
the same about her.
when I was leaving Baltimore, I was about to turn 30. Everyone told me that I was walking into a
was a
landmine
mistake, yes.
by moving to Chicago. Gayle was the only person who said, I think you can do it. She said, I think you can beat Donahue. Phil Donahue was the premier
Oh, yes,
person at the
for
time.
sure.
Well, I was not even thinking I could beat Donahue. Gayle thought I
did,
could beat
yes.
Donahue. I was like, how's that gonna happen? How am I gonna beat Donahue? So I actually had a boss who said, you don't have to beat Donahue.
Yes.
You just be yourself. Had I not had somebody who believed that me moving to Chicago could be successful, and even if it didn't turn out with that show, that I would still be okay, I might have not have made the move because it was very comfortable. I would have been an institutional anchor.
And you weren't unhappy.
Yeah, I wasn't
Baltimore,
unhappy.
you weren't unhappy,
But I
yeah.
had reached that point in my life where I knew that there was something more, and I felt like I don't want to just remain in this city and do the news for the rest of my life.
But you saw something that made you know she could not only do what she was thinking she might do, but she might achieve something more than she thought, it sounded like.
I saw it. I believed that I could do it, but it was just everybody else was saying, and Gayle was saying, well, I don't believe them. I believe you're going to
You
be
can't
okay.
win in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe you're going to be okay. She fills a role for me that is as solid as mothering or as sistering or anything could be. And stories that I would hear that
From friends.
from friends, it was a
friends.
friend
How could you be
who
a friend?
betrayed you.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you are truly a friend, it's impossible to betray someone.
That's true.
right.
If you are truly a friend, it's impossible, I think.
And I think if you keep a friend who betrays you, you're betraying yourself.
Oh, Sister Melinda, you just
That's
said it.
good.
That is it.
And
Whoa.
we sometimes don't look at that in ourselves, right?
There is nothing worse than being madder at yourself.
Yes, it's
For
much
your
easier to
own
be
betrayal.
mad at somebody
Yes,
else.
yes,
but to be mad at yourself
Oh my gosh.
and to look at
That is the
that
worst feeling.
Look at what I did to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so often when I've been upset or angry with somebody, I have to say, what is it in them that I'm actually
That's triggering for
angry
you?
For
Yes.
me,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
about me.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough, incredibly lucky, to have 3 female friends now for over 30 years.
Wow.
Walk 3. 2 of them over 35 years. One of them lost her husband in our 30s. He was my good friend. We walk every Monday morning. So if you're in town, you walk. They are my truth counsel. Whenever I'm going to make a really hard decision or make a big transition, I know I have to have the courage to tell them.
They're your kitchen cabinet.
They're
your
my
truth
kitchen
counsel.
cabinet,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're honest with me.
Yeah.
Yes. And Melinda, if it's something that you don't want to tell them, because I've had things where I
Yes.
go, I'm not going to tell her because I know what she's going to say, then you know that's the wrong
That's
thing.
when you
right?
really need to tell them.
That's when you really.
That's when you know you're
there's
off
been,
track.
Yes, there's been times I go, well, I'm not going to tell that because I know what she's going to say. But that's when you should know that that's not the right
That's the
decision to
time
make.
you
Yes.
need to tell me. That's the time.
Well, because you might be ashamed or have shame about something you've done or are about to do. At least that's my case.
What you looking at?
When I go, okay, we won't go exactly there.
We bonded because we had very like philosophies about people. You know, like, do you care for so-and-so? No, he's such an asshole. I go, I think he's an asshole too. We were so in sync about so many different things. And I've never met
philosophies-
anybody like that.
And philosophies about approaching life and
Life,
approaching our job,
yes.
because we were both at the same job. I was the anchor person, and she was
The production assistant. So in
Production.
newsroom hierarchy, it's here and here. I mean, but that says something about her. The news anchor is the big deal. They're not asking the production assistant, do you want to stay at my house? But we did. We just really clicked that night.
and really
And have been ever since.
and talked every night ever since.
About everything and nothing.
About everything and nothing. So when people say, what do y'all talk about? You can't even say.
You can't even say, because sometimes it's just stupid. It's just stupid.
Yeah, we crack ourselves up
Yeah.
all the time.
I heard Oprah on TV once say, you know, I don't gossip, I don't believe in gossip. I called her and said, when did that start?
Have either of you made a big career transition or life transition since you met each other without discussing it with the other one?
No.
No. We discuss
No.
everything, so.
Certainly not a big major one,
No, no.
I wouldn't dream of it, actually, Melinda, without getting Oprah's take on whatever it is, whether it was a
Yeah,
job.
like your cabinet, like your
kitchen
kitchen
cabinet, walking
cabinet, your
group, yep.
walking counsel. Yeah, that's what we are.
Mine used to be Oprah. That was just it. Now, you know, now that favorite daughter Kirby and favorite son Will, I really do feel I can talk to them about anything. So the 3 of them, if it's something that's really major, I would run it by the 3 of them. But it used to just be Oprah. Because, you know, we all can know a lot of people.
Right.
Which I do. But that doesn't mean you have a lot of friends. And I think
Right.
that surprises people to think, well, you
Gail
must have
knows
a lot
more
of
people than
friends.
anybody I know.
I do know
She
a
has
lot
the
of
best
people.
Rolodex in history.
But I do know a lot of people, but that doesn't mean that you're friends.
Yeah.
You know?
My mom used to say to us when we were in grade school, you really only need one friend.
You just need
Yeah.
one.
As long as you have one friend.
One true.
Who will tell you
friend.
the truth.
Yeah. But the 2 of you have navigated these very public lives, but you obviously have a piece of privacy in your lives too, and you stayed true to this friendship. How have you navigated keeping who you are and being a public figure? Is this hard for you or easy?
No, I'm just trying to think how we navigated
I was going to say, what if we not shared?
Okay,
I mean,
so you
I'm
feel
thinking-
comfortable just sharing everything?
Pretty
We shared
much.
pretty much everything, and I would have to say
Pretty much.
it wasn't even a matter of navigation.
yes.
You know, for years people used to say we were gay or that we
Yes.
were, but and listen, we were up against that for forever.
No,
and, and people still make
say
think
that. And I used to say to Oprah, you got to do a show on this because it's hard enough for me to get a date on Saturday night with people thinking we're gay.
Yeah.
Because if we were gay, we would tell you.
Again, it's interesting to me being a decade younger. I know when that was said about you. I remember that rough time frame. But what I think you've taught society, yes, there's still some fringe people who maybe say that, but what you've taught society is that women can have deep, true friendships.
Well, I think you're right, Melinda, because one of the things I started to think was maybe people aren't accustomed to seeing women with this kind of truth bond, meaning the reason why I think our friendship has worked is because Gayle is happier, not happy, but happier for me, for any kind of success or victory or challenge I get through, than I am for myself. And I feel as happy as she does. I can't be happier than she. You cannot, you know.
can't surpass Gayle.
Cannot surpass
You can't
Gayle.
out-happy me,
You
Melinda.
cannot out-happy her. So
Okay, good to know.
I am equally as happy for her. I mean, and what I see in a lot of friends, I remember once having a friend, we were out shopping and she said, "Oh, you're getting another black dress?"
Yes.
And I thought, well, yeah, I am getting another black dress. And just the tone in which it was said. So you can't really be friends with anybody who has a hint of jealousy about anything that you're doing. Certainly about your success or your, you know, being celebrated or you cannot.
Or anything that you have.
Or anything that you have. You cannot be friends. If you see that in somebody, I say those little whispers where somebody is like, well, okay. Well, look at you. You cannot. You cannot. You have to distance yourself or you have to cut that thing off.
I just assumed everybody had a really good friend, but
But
I know
everybody
that
does
that's not true.
Everybody does not.
I just assume every woman, maybe not for men, but I just assume every woman had at least one.
They don't have a solid 3.
Yeah,
to
that's
walk
what
with.
I
They
marvel
don't.
that you have 3.
Yes, and also to be able to talk about anything.
Anything.
Yes,
Whether it's the
because-
death of a parent or a child growing up or
divorce.
something you're afraid of, a divorce. I would not have gotten through my divorce without my 3 closest friends. There's no chance.
Did you tell them after, were they the first people you told after you told yourself?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And going and
Yeah, mine
facing
too.
them, or
Yeah.
even that I was even thinking about separating.
Wow. Were they all in agreement?
Absolutely. And
They
they
were?
had seen enough over the years, you know, and they knew
know.
of some problems along the way. You know, they'd seen me sad or, I mean, you actually need a friend who will tell you the truth, even when you don't want to hear
it.
I'll say about my friends, they have a perspective on me and I have a
Yes.
perspective on them. And when
Yes.
you have a long-term friendship over as long as you two have, or I have with my friends, you've kind of seen it all with the other person.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you nudge one another though when if you think the other one needs to grow? Do you say it out loud? Like if
Yes.
Yes. You just say it out loud.
Especially when you're used to, I mean, in Oprah's life, everybody is always very flattering and is always very agreeable with things that she says. And sometimes I'll go, that's just not true. That's
Yeah,
just not
people
true.
often say that things.
Your hair does not look good. You know, it looks like it
color's wrong.
Yeah, it looks
Which-
like yeah.
Yeah. We both have done that.
Yeah, we both. Yeah,
We both have done that. Yeah.
So, just to close, what advice would you give women who are, let's say, like me, I'm about to turn 60. What
We don't have no advice for you.
well,
Well, no advice for you. You are doing it. You were a model.
We're all
You were a
learning.
model.
I know. What advice do we have for you, Melinda French Gates? Nothing. Nothing. Keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing what you're
It's
doing.
working.
You are a model for the world. You are a
Yes.
model woman for the world. You have
Yes.
taken everything that you have, your wisdom, your wealth, your intelligence, your care for the world, how you've modeled for us how to use true wealth.
Yes.
And true wealth meaning everything that comes from the inside out and not just what's coming from the outside in.
And to go through something so publicly and come out on the other side with such class, such grace, such integrity. It wasn't a, you know what he did to me? Stop doing that.
They don't want every detail.
Yeah, they don't want
But
every
This
detail.
is what I loved about
Yes.
you, is that you told us just enough to let us all know that this was painful and that it was real and that you were as hurt by it and challenged by it as any other woman would be. You were a real human being, that you were a real woman. And I think to be able to do that and to do it with the kind of grace and strength that you
know, I'll
showed us
never
all,
forget it, yes.
you were the model.
Because you didn't have the moment where you just acted like, no big deal, everything is fine.
Yes.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that for my soul and for so many other women that I've met who are in painful situations and
That's
can't
right.
get out
Yes.
or aren't sure they should get out. And I will say, use the word grace just a minute ago.
Yes.
I prayed for grace, Gayle, before that interview.
Prayed for grace.
Grace. Just
Yeah.
grace to say the right things and not the wrong things. The grace to stand in my truth, but also not do complete damage,
Yes.
right? To watch both of you evolve in
in the public eye and in who you are and see you go through these decades. I will say for me, it's been a huge inspiration in being willing then to speak my truth and try and listen.
Don't you feel you're just getting started? Aren't you so psyched for this new chapter?
Yes.
Aren't
Yes.
you?
Yes, yes,
What is
yes.
that
Very.
smile? I know.
Very.
Like, where can I go?
Because it feels like real freedom.
Yeah.
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 Doesn't
And
it? Feels like
I've had
real freedom.
I've had older people who are in their late 80s or 90s saying, "You're just beginning."
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, oh, well, you are.
yeah. But for other women who are making a transition in any
Any
way,
kind of transition,
any
yeah.
kind of transition, whether they're in their 50s, whether they're in their 40s, whether they're in their 60s, any last advice you'd like to give to them? Because you all have you've both made
But
huge
I just think
numbers.
you can always be better. You can always be better. You can always do better. I don't care. Even as I sit here today, where people say, Gayle, I want to be just like you. I go, you really don't. You want to be the best you that you can be.
Because you
I
can't
kinda
be
got
like you
this.
because you haven't had your life.
That's right. I always think transition can be a really good thing. I believe in taking risks, don't take foolish risks, but I believe in betting on myself. And if it doesn't work out, it's also on me, and that's okay.
One of the greatest lessons I've learned is that change is there to evolve you. And I live in a place where I'm surrounded by trees because I love trees. I watch how things change and evolve, change and evolve, change and evolve, and get better.
And stronger.
And stronger. And so what I know is if you are paying attention to your life, that life only gets better. Because everything that shows up is showing up to expand you, to open you, to help you grow to whatever the next level is there for you. And so I know that love doesn't hurt.
Yeah. It's not supposed to hurt.
Love doesn't hurt. And if it's hurting you and causing you to lose yourself and to lose who you know yourself to be or could be, then it's not the love for you. That's not what it is, because love helps you blossom and helps you flourish and helps you be the best of yourself. And so I always say, open yourself up to whatever the change is whispering to you. Because what I've learned is life comes in whispers, and if you don't pay attention to the whisper gets louder. It's a big thump on the head. What was a whisper, that's just a little message trying to move you in the right direction.
You go,
It's always a that's odd, or that makes no sense, or I felt that. I see something
Or
here.
I think I saw that.
I think I saw that. The life is whispering. If you don't pay attention to the whisper, it comes thumping you on the head, and that thump turns into a problem. And if you don't pay attention to that, it's like next thing is a brick upside your head. Problems turn into crises, and crises turn into disaster. Yeah. If you don't listen, if you don't pay attention in the whisper, the whispers just get louder and louder and harder and harder. So I try to catch things in the
whisper form.
That's beautiful.
In the whisper form. Catch it in the whisper. So I would say to anybody who is entering any decade or wherever you are in any stage of life, what is whispering to you now? What is whispering to you now?
Because there's always something, good and bad.
And what's already knocked you upside the head?
You two you're just both a font of wisdom between the two of you. And
we're funny too.
And you're hilarious.
We're delightful.
And you're delightful and lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything both of you do and that you role model for
Thank
me
you,
and so
Melinda,
many
for
others.
having us.
Well, congratulations on turning 60. Congratulations.
Thank you.